Well, I'm Dr.D.Amutha, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Economics, St. Mary's College, Autonomous. Today we are going to learn an important topic from the development economics. The name of the topic is Harris-Todaro Model. We will study this model step by step. We often see people moving from villages to cities. We ask ourselves a simple question: why do people move to cities even when there are no jobs? Harris Todaro gave an answer to this question in the year 1970. According to this model, people do not migrate only because of higher city wages. They migrate because they expect to earn more income in the cities. So we use the idea of expected income. Expected urban income means the city wage multiplied by the chance of getting a job. If the expected income in the city is higher than the income in the village, people move to city. Even if they do not get a job immediately, they stay because they believe they will earn more in the future. This is the reason why cities have unemployment but migration still continues. Migration stops only when the expected urban income becomes equal to rural income. At this stage, we say equilibrium is reached. Let us see a simple example. If rural income is 200 rupees per day and urban wage is 400 rupees per day, but the chance of getting a job is only 50%, then expected urban income is also 200 rupees. So migration will stop here. This model is important for government policy. If we increase urban wages without creating jobs, more people will migrate and unemployment will increase. So we must develop rural areas and create jobs in both rural and urban sectors. That is the basic idea of the Harris-Todaro model. First, I explained that rural workers do not migrate simply because urban wages are higher. We assume that workers are rational and compare their rural income in the expected income they may earn in cities. We clearly explain that migration occurs when expected urban income is greater than rural income. I usually help them understand that even if employment is uncertain, people migrate because the expected return is higher. Next, we explain why urban unemployment continues to exist. I point out that even when there are no immediate jobs, rural workers migrate because they expect better income in the future. We observe that this leads to equilibrium unemployment. I emphasize that unemployment in cities is not accidental, but a rational outcome of migration decisions made by individuals. In this diagram, I explain the Harris-Todaro model of rural-urban migration. The vertical axis shows wages and the horizontal axis shows urban unemployment. As urban jobs increase, the expected urban wage also increases. Migration stops at point L where the expected urban wage becomes equal to the rural wage, even though urban unemployment still exists. In this part, I explain the key features of the Harris-Todaro model, which help us understand how migration decisions are made and why urban unemployment exists in developing economies. First, expected income approach. In this model, I explain that people do not migrate based only on actual wages. Rural workers compare their rural income with the expected urban income. Expected income depends on the urban wage and the chance of getting a job. Second, the role of employment probability. I explained that the probability of getting an urban job is very important. Even when jobs are limited, people migrate because they expect to find employment. Expectations strongly influence migration decisions. Third, existence of urban unemployment. I explained that urban unemployment exists even when migration is rational. This unemployment is not temporary. People willing to stay unemployed because they expect higher income in the future. Fourth, equilibrium migration condition. I explained that migration continues until expected urban income becomes equal to rural income. This point is called equilibrium. At equilibrium, migration stops even when unemployment may still exist. Fifth, segmented labor markets. I explained that rural urban labor markets are separate. Wages and job conditions are different in each sector. Because of this separation, wages do not adjust quickly and unemployment remains. In this section, I explain why the Harris-Todaro model is important for understanding labor economics and development issues. This model is widely used to academic analysis and policy discussions. First, persistent urban unemployment. I explained that the model helps us understand why urban unemployment continues in developing countries. Unemployment is not always a failure of the economy. It can result from rational migration decisions. Second, focus on expectations rather than wages. I explained that the model shifts attention from actual wages to expected income. Migration decisions depend on job chances and expectations. This is a key contribution to migration theory. Third, role in policy formulation. I explained that policymakers can use this model. In this section, I explain policy implications of Harris-Todaro model. This model helps us understand how government policies affect migration, employment, and labor markets. First, urban wage policy. I explained that increasing urban wages alone can create problems. Higher wages raise expected income and attract more migrants. If jobs do not increase, urban unemployment will rise. Therefore, wage policies must be applied carefully. Second, urban employment generation. I emphasize that creating urban jobs is very important. Wage increases should go together with the job creation. Without enough jobs, migration only increases unemployment. Third, importance of rural development. I stress that improving rural income can reduce migration pressure. Investment in agriculture, rural industries, and infrastructure raises rural wages. This helps limit excessive rural urban migration. Fourth, balanced regional development. I explained that migration occurs due to regional inequality. Development should not focus only on cities. Promoting growth in smaller towns and rural areas can reduce urban congestion and unemployment. Fifth, education and skill development. I explained that skill development improves employment opportunities. Skilled workers have a higher chance of getting jobs. Education reduces the mismatch between labor demand and supply. Finally, migration management policies. I explained that migration cannot stop, but it can be managed. Providing accurate information about jobs reduce false expectations. Informed migration leads to better economic outcomes. In this section, I critically examine the limitations of the Harris-Todaro model. Although this model is important, it has several theoretical and practical weaknesses. First, the assumption of perfect information. I explained that the model assumes workers know urban wages and job chances perfectly. In reality, migrants often have incomplete or wrong information. This makes the model less realistic. Second, neglect of social and cultural factors. I point out that the model focuses only on economic factors. Social networks, family influence, education, and personal goals are ignored. Migration decisions are not purely economic. Third, fixed urban wage assumption. I criticize the idea of a fixed urban wage. In reality, urban wages can change over time. Wage flexibility can reduce unemployment, which the model does not fully capture. Fourth, ignoring skill differences. I explained that the model treats all workers as the same. In practice, workers differ in skills and education. Skilled and unskilled workers face different job opportunities. Fifth, oversimplification of the rural sector. I explained that the rural sector is shown as having fixed wages and unlimited jobs. In reality, rural wages change due to productivity, technology, and government policies. Finally, limited policy applicability. I conclude that while the model gives useful insights, it is not sufficient for real world policy making. It ignores factors like education, infrastructure, and institutions. Therefore, the model should be used carefully. In conclusion, I acknowledge that the Harris-Todaro model is an important contribution to the development economics. However, we agree that its strong assumptions limits its applicability. I suggest that combining this model with social, institutional, and labor market realities can improve its relevance. We conclude that the model is best used as a theoretical framework rather than a complete explanation of migration. The references used for this lesson are listed at the end of the presentation and include official government reports and standard economic sources. An online assessment has been provided for this topic through a Google form to evaluate students' understanding. Feedback on this lesson can be submitted through the Google form link shown here. This section provides self-assessment questions to help you strengthen your understanding of Harris-Todaro model of rural-urban migration. The multiple-choice questions focus on why economic concepts such as expected income, employment probability, and equilibrium in migration decisions. The short answer questions encourage you to apply economic reasoning to explain urban unemployment and migration patterns in India. By attempting these questions, you can evaluate your theoretical clarity and improve your analytical skills in development economics. Thank you for being part of this learning journey.